And what's going on, everybody? It's Kevin Vidini here, coming back at you with another live video. On today's video, we are going to be doing a breakdown and a review on King in Black issue number 3. As always, I am not alone. I'm going to be bringing on one of my guests, and we actually have a surprise last-second guest coming on, but I'll definitely introduce him. But as always, joining me for these breakdown and reviews on anything symbiote related, I got my good friend Joseph Reed, aka OldManVenom. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
What's up, man? Doing all right. I'm just enjoying this freezing weather out here.
You and me both.
Starting to snow a little bit. You getting anything?
No, I'm not getting anything, and you keep it over there. I don't want it. So second, we have our last second guest on the show today. He's going to be helping us out with a review. He is no stranger to Joe and I. We got my buddy Matt, Mr. Gold Label. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. I'm glad I could join. I'm on a 3-hour difference from you guys, so I'm stoked to be here. I'm a huge fan of the channel, and I'm ready to get into this book.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I bet it's not snowing where you are.
We got some sleet this morning.
What?
Yeah, here in sunny San Diego, got some sleet.
That's pretty crazy, man. I've never even heard of that. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. First line of business before we break down this issue and give it a review, I want to remind people to please smash that like button if you like anything that me and my guests have to say about this issue today. If you're new here to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel to show your support and for future content, such as these live streams for comic book reviews and breakdowns. Also, if you subscribe to the channel, you'd be definitely helping the channel reach its goal at 1,900 subscribers. I have a 1,900 subscriber giveaway going on, and if you want to learn how to enter, you can find that video on the channel. I'm going to be giving away a free CGC 9.8 slab. How's that sound, huh?
Good.
Sounds pretty good. Everybody loves CGC 9.8s, don't they? So, gentlemen, let's get into this issue. Let's break it down from beginning to end, and then we'll give it a review, and we'll talk about a little bit of the things that we liked and didn't like. So obviously, Eddie Brock is still dead, and let's just jump in here real quick because I feel like this is the most important part of the beginning. But man, Dylan, Dylan is just. He's showing that fatherly side, right? He's angry. He wants revenge. And that does remind me a lot of Eddie.
Yeah, he pretty much snaps, man. Like, I like how Spider-Man's like, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" And he's just like, "I need to hurt something." So that's kind of him going back to how he was in, what was it, The Good Son. We haven't seen him be like that in a while. But, yeah, he's pretty fired up, man. I was kind of pumped about that.
Yeah, right. Matt, what'd you think?
Yeah, I agree with Joe. I mean, it's very cool to see Dylan finally come out of his shell, and we really get to see him explode literally here. But I was kind of uneasy about it because he went from 0 to 100 like almost a little too quick, and then when he got to the point where he actually had to show his stuff, it was like, oh, he might as well trip and stumble over himself because it's like walking for the first time, and he really had zero control. So I was afraid he was gonna slip up and that the story was going to take a curve, but it was all right.
And again, that's not only showing a little bit of Eddie's side of just being a hot fuse, a loose cannon, but Matt also brought up something else too. Like he doesn't have a plan. He's just going off of rage.
Running gun, right?
That's usually never a good idea, but it was interesting to see him like step up. And like you predicted it, dude. You freaking predicted it. Spider-Man did go get Dylan.
Yeah, and it shows in this issue too that Null mentioned it many times. Like, as soon as Dylan used his power, like, there you are, and just like you said, man, he just immediately goes right to him.
Right. It's crazy. Like, we're able to predict certain little things in here, but at the same time, by the end of this issue, it's hard to tell exactly what's going to happen. That's for sure, especially with Dylan.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I just literally lost when he caught Cap Shield.
I lost it too, man. That was
cool.
really big because like he was
like-
just nonchalantly like grabs it and is like, yeah, not today, Cap. Like that was amazing.
Then he's like, "Oh, I'm about to unleash on these fools," and then the next panel, he's up against Cap, and he like just whoop, got the shield. It was like the same moment in Endgame when Captain America catches the hammer. I was like, "Oh, here we go. This is the moment."
Yeah,
You know,
it was a little
really
bit like that actually.
It was really exciting.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But like, you know, when I first started seeing all this power by Dylan, I was getting really, really excited. You know what I mean? And I don't want to try to jump ahead too far, but since we're here, might as well. We can always go back like we always do. You know, so we see Dylan using his power. I'm getting really excited. I'm like, man, this is it. Like, this is where we're gonna see Dylan on full blast. But as soon as again, Null notices that he's using his power, he goes right to him, and it just gets like choked out like real quick. He ends up, you know, covering him in symbiote, and he's like, "You're gonna watch this whole world burn."
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Right,
Just
and
to see him, like, oh, go ahead, Joe.
I was just that right there. That's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. Like, because of that, I have no idea what to expect. Like, Dylan basically can control all the other symbiotes around him, but when it comes to Null and whatever Null's controlling, like Dylan has absolutely no say in what Null's doing. So Null like overwhelms him pretty much with the symbiote, and from that point on, Dylan's completely helpless, and he's like apologizing about like, I'm sorry guys, like right there. It kind of makes me wonder what Null's about to do. He's going to somehow, like we've talked about it so many times about him possibly getting swayed by Null to go a certain way. And right now, from what it's looking like, is he's about to get nullified. You know what I mean? So I don't know what to expect with all that.
You know what I'm expecting, because there were a certain time, maybe I can get to it real quick, when Null did have Dylan, but he was, you know, he did call him my son, which I thought was, he called Eddie his son too and whatnot, but he said something more or less, I'm trying to find it, like, you're going to really find out what you really are or where you came from or something like that. He said something along those lines, did he not?
I can't exactly remember that little fine detail, but yeah, like he did say, you know, my son and all that good jazz. And I've kind of talked about it before. I can't properly put into words, but I feel like obviously Null had something to do with the creation of Dylan. The fact that Anne got pregnant, like that was something to do with Null. That wasn't necessarily the fact that Eddie wore the symbiote and then it jumped onto her and she wore it and then bam, she got pregnant. Like this is making it seem like Null did something to the symbiote to create Dylan.
And this was something that I've been saying for a long time, and I mentioned this on somebody else's channel. I can't believe who I can't remember who I said it. I said the same exact thing, and people turned their heads and like they thought I had like 3 heads. Like, I think you're digging a little too deep there, Kevin. I'm like, it's completely possible, dude. Like, it really is. Matt, you got something to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been like that in our chat group. I've always discussed like how, you know, this is in my opinion, it's biblical at this point. Like Dylan is the Jesus, and you know, Null is God. You know, there it is, child of my child. I mean, it's the writing's on the wall. You know, like Anne was impregnated by out of the symbiotes to bring on the savior at this point. So I think Dylan is literally connected to Null in some way, shape, or form. I think his power over symbiote is just the start. I think that would be more connected to the hive mind and how Null actually with symbiotes in the long run. We haven't even touched that at the surface. I think in the book he actually said, he's like, yes, that power, that familiar power, and he's like, oh my god, I've felt this in so long. And then, you know, like Null is to Dylan. Oh, I feel there's my child. So I think that we're going to see more in the next couple issues, like very revealing information about what he really is.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's foreshadowing what's to come in the upcoming issues about a little more of a darker side to Dylan. And, you know, I think it might even turn out that, again, that Dylan Brock has nothing to do with Eddie Brock biologically.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm still waiting for the whole Codex thing to turn around.
Yeah.
In
So
some sort of way, he does have a relation to Eddie Brock, and it is through the whole Codex thing. I will give it that. But speaking of Codex, I mean, that literally was Dylan, and whatever happened to him, he basically turned into Null. So what's happening in here currently, like that could very well happen again. Which that I'm still waiting on the portal to open that you've been talking about, Kevin, and Codex and all them come through. So that very well might happen.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that too. I mean, because it's like we said on previous videos, it's all hands on deck here. We need as many people as possible fighting this horde, fighting these dragons, fighting these sentinels, fighting Null. You know what I mean? There is a lot to be handled here, and this is one of the things that I love about this issue. This not just this issue, but this whole series in general, that you just absolutely feel the pressure and anxiety of the heroes on this story. You know what I mean? Everyone is stressed the hell out, and you feel it.
I love it, and the fact that, like I said, we are 3 issues deep now, and every last one of them has been as good as the last. And by this point in Absolute Carnage, it had already fallen off. So I'm very happy that this is still going strong.
Yeah, for sure. This is leaps and bounds over Absolute Carnage. Now, one thing I want to bring up too. Go ahead, Joe. You have said something?
No, I was just agreeing with you. Like, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Man. So again, there were so many big things that's happened in this issue. I would say there were 3 really big things. We already touched up on one of them about Dylan Brock really unleashing and getting to see Dylan Brock use his power, not just for like 2 panels and it being done. We got to see a couple more panels. But one of the minor big things that happened in this issue is that we see Reed Richards talking about a encrypted drive that he received from Eddie Brock that he got from Wraith. Joe, Joe and Matt, do you know anything about this drive?
Me personally, not too much. I mean, him giving that to Eddie was pretty new. I'm suspecting that it has something to do with the God of Light, like that little symbol that they keep seeing with the circles. Whatever is in there, that's what Reed's studying right now. That's what I think.
Matt?
So, I mean, I don't know who's read the Wraith book and who hasn't, but I mean, in that storyline, that's where they reveal that there is a polar opposite to Null himself. There is this quote unquote God of Light character. So, when I think Wraith at the time has just barely enough energy after Null defeats him to just send this message somewhere, and out of everyone in the universe, he picks Eddie because he knows the future. He knows what's coming and what's going to happen on Earth, King in Black. So this hard drive is the roadmap to what Joe just said, the God of Light. Now, we made all kinds of speculations as to who it's going to be and what. I mean, I can throw a couple names in the hat, but I'm not going to try to spoil anything for anyone unless we want to go down that road. But I do think in the next couple of issues, we're gonna get a major character release.
Oh, for sure.
Something for people to spec about and send to CGC. More stuff like that. Yay!
And I'm still not counting out the whole Sentry concept because he's still going to be kind of involved in this from what it looks with the tie-in.
Yeah. That honestly, I think that was a big distraction at the beginning. Like, oh, he's dead. That's not there. But then we keep hearing about the soul of Sentry and it's coming back and being rebuilt with this and that. So I think you're right, Joe. I think he's definitely on the verge.
I think it's like what we said previously, Joe. That was just something to really for us to sink our teeth in and be like, oh crap, like this is gonna be huge. That was really the hook that was supposed to get new readers and people interested into the series. You know what I mean? So I don't think Sentry is going anywhere. Let's see. We got a couple of comments here. I'm thinking it has to do with Wraith's dad. I thought of that too. So now let me just bring this up too, because I forgot to mention this, but while reading this, when that little cliff note happened about the hard drive, Reed Richards finding that, I went online and I typed up Web of Venom Wraith to read it real quick, and then went back to this. I mean, it didn't reveal too much information, but it is the drive was given by Thanos' brother. So that's something else that could be a little bit foreshadowing. I'm not really quite sure, but it could be something else there.
That would be interesting. I don't really know. I don't really know too much about Wraith's dad, so I really can't say.
So moving on. So we see Dylan use his power. He easily gets taken over by Null. And then while Null is there, he gets a strike in the hand by lightning. And here we think that this is going to be our savior in the series. But it fell flat. We had Thor come in, and Thor gave up a pretty good fight. There was that one panel where he just swings his hammer at Null's face and just clocks his jaw right off, and that was absolutely amazing. So what did you guys think about this battle? And what'd you think about Thor versus Null?
I thought it was freaking awesome. That panel with him knocking his jaw off could be the cover of a reprint, but I thought that was awesome, dude. Like, seriously.
It's definitely some of the violence that we need in this series. Matt, what do you got?
As soon as he electrocuted the whole symbiote hand in midair, I was hoping, I was like, please don't let it be a Venomized Hulk absolute carnage panel. Like the next panel, it's over.
Yeah, right.
So give me a couple pages of decent combat, and it didn't disappoint. I really liked it a lot. Like you said, the jaw coming off, and I really liked that segment. Almost instantly after his jaw came off, that he creates a new jaw with the symbiote, and he starts talking right after that. Oh, that hurt, kinda. Okay, let's get right back to it. There wasn't really a pause there, so I really, really enjoyed that.
Right, it didn't even skip a beat. Null's okay, knocked off my jaw. You're gonna pay for that. It regrows, and then we get that. What I feel, in my opinion, is that cheap shot. Okay, Thor was sort of he wasn't paying no mind to him. I hurt him pretty bad. My attention is somewhere else, and then Null just comes and grabs him, turns it around, and sticks the I can't the Necro Sword into him, and I was just like, man, that was cheap. That was super dirty. You're supposed to be this strong god, and you're going up against Thor, and you're gonna do it like that. He was oh, you have nothing to teach me, sort of deal. I'm big and bad, and then he just cheap shots him and stabs him.
Yeah. So
what really surprised me is that sorry, I'm gonna. So what really surprised me there was when he's holding Thor down on the ground. I was surprised that Dylan just tries to charge him. What was Dylan trying to do after he already got thrown to the side? Almost that could have been the end of Dylan right there. He just where was his plan?
Yeah, right. Again, he's just going off of anger.
Yep, that's what you said. But yeah, to reiterate on that, like I said, sorry I had to step away for a second, but I thought the battle between them two was friggin' awesome. It definitely showed that Thor is super powerful, but even with all his cosmic abilities and everything going on right now, like you said, he pretty much knocked his jaw off and turned his back for a split second, and within that time, he remade his jaw and then stabbed him in the back with the Necro Sword, which was very dirty, but it just showed that you can't just knock Null's jaw off and just turn your back on him. He's super dangerous. So that was really cool. The one thing I'm really hoping for is I'm hearing a lot of people are kind of confused because in the current Thor storyline, he's trapped in the other, universe or whatever. I'm kind of expecting, I think it would be really neat if they somehow were to, eventually when he gets out of that universe in the Thor's issue, it leads right into this. So we'll get some sort of almost, not really a tie-in, but something that kind of bridges the two. You know what I mean?
Right. Matt, you got something to add to that?
I really thought that it was first of all when he gets the Necro Sword out of his back, it's his camouflaged inside of him, and he just pulls it out it's a piece of his body. Yeah, I was oh, this is straight out of a horror movie. I love it. But I just Yeah, I mean, going off what Joe's saying, I mean, Donny Cates he's relentless for intertwining these storylines. It's going to happen. You know that at some point this storyline and the current Thor run are going to intertwine, and he's gonna leave that storyline and show up on Earth, and that's where that one's going to end. I'm pretty sure.
I just want to highlight this comment one more time. I just think this is so funny, Zygona, because being a martial arts instructor and training in 14 years, you don't even need to learn self-defense or martial arts to know this right here, right? I mean, and we got this warrior Thor who's doing it just nonchalantly, like, what was that? A butterfly? Oh, God.
Yeah. That's great. I'll knock his beat off. Yeah, we're good. I'm Thor. We're good.
Yeah,
now,
right.
He recovered very quickly. Very quickly. And that's another thing is he did something to the Celestials at the same time, because when Thor hit him, that's what it was, is he called out to the Celestials and Thor turned around to watch what was going on, and that's when he shanked them.
Yeah, right. Now hold on, before we move on, because I know, Joe, you're very excited for this next part about the Celestial part. I know you're like, right. He's like, oh yeah. Now, here's the thing, okay? My two questions is when Thor comes in, okay, knowing that lightning is one of the weaknesses, don't you think he should have just like not have fought him hand to hand and just, gone gung ho and just like went like all like electrocution style on this guy? Like, like why didn't he do that?
He probably should have definitely led with that, but it just seems, because he kind of gave the whole spiel, like he says the same thing to like Gore, kind of thinking about it, but I've faced a million, enemies like you, all hell bent on killing me, and you think you're going to do it. And I think it was more of a pride thing, like, oh, you think, you're going to come end everything? Like, nah, it's not happening. I'm Thor, you know what I mean? He just smacks him with the hammer. And yeah, he definitely probably should have used the lightning, but at the same time, Storm was kind of using lightning powers, and he was able to like completely engulf her. So,
yeah,
who knows?
That's true.
It definitely would have had some sort of effect on him, I think, if Thor would have hit him direct. But
she ain't no god.
This is very true. Very, very true.
I think what's important to say here is, a lot of people are like doubting this actual happened to Thor, like he's a god, he's not dead. But I think we have to remember here that this particular weapon is known for killing celestials and gods all throughout the Marvel Universe timeline. So it's like, I'm actually curious to see if Marvel is going to let Donnie leave this one on the table, like his Thor. Did he actually like die? Or I don't know.
I don't think so, because like in the book, it doesn't really show Thor really dying. He's definitely hurting. He's griping himself, and he's down for the count for a little while, but I don't think he's dead for sure. So my second question is, after this whole battle and with everybody kind of boo-hooing over Thor being stabbed, is Null OP? Is he overpowered?
He very well seems it. I feel like there's still a couple of tricks up his sleeve, especially since he's got Dylan right now. Who knows what he's about to do? Real quick, Leaf Null, more detail of the fight in the Thor book. No, I'm not saying that they're going to show them fighting or anything, but like I could see him coming out of that world and coming back to Earth, and instead of Earth as he normally sees it, he's just going to look right at a Null possessed world. So something like that's bound to happen. And another thing.
I think Joe, you froze for a second there, buddy.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back, buddy. You're good. Matt, you had something to say about that. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. I saw the comment, rest in peace, Thor, like, oh, goodbye, Thor. But I wanted to also point out, anyone that has read the Thor storyline, it's a major spoiler here. So when the whole Black Winter thing goes down, and he gives Thor one last wish, and he grants him the wish to see how he actually died in the future, it's not Null. So I think we can kind of rule that one out. That he's probably really injured. He's at his lowest right now, but Null's not going to be his demise. I'm pretty sure.
True, and we should always point out that death in comics don't matter. They don't mean anything.
That's right. You're right.
All right, so let's move on to the Iron Man taking over a dragon. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys who are watching right now, because we have 16 people. If you have not smashed that like button yet, please do so. If you're new here to the channel, make sure you click on that subscribe button. All right, so Joe, I know you're very excited about this part, and you want to talk about it. Take it away about Iron Man taking over this dragon.
Okay, so yeah, first and foremost, I'm absolutely the fact that Iron Man is tied into this story, not just as like, he's trying to help save the day, running around with all these characters. Like he is literally the symbiote bonded to a dragon and his extremis armor, and that is just so friggin' awesome to me. I've been thinking that since the Superior Iron Man. Like, there's something that can be done with that. That was my original idea for some other stuff that I talked about, but like that armor was so much symbiote like that. I feel like they can make machine symbiotes if they wanted to. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, right.
seeing him like bonded to one, and not only that, but just like straddling and riding this dragon is just like so freaking cool to me. But he's able to, in some sort of a way, because of the technology bonded to the symbiote, in some sort of a way, he's able to manipulate it. And I do recall him curing Santa Claus in the Iron Man and Doctor Doom
tie-in. Yeah,
he literally cured Santa Claus of being nullified. So I think that's incredible. The fact that Donny Cates has openly said that he's like worked with the writer of the end to help tie everything in. If you read Venom the End, the last thing left in the entire universe is symbiotes and then Iron Man's with holographic Tony Stark heads. So just seeing like Iron Man be tied in to Venom in such a way, it's really cool. But not only that, he friggin' takes over one of the Celestials and turns it against the other one. So we get the whole Rock'em Sock'em Robots, like they were saying earlier.
that was pretty
And
cool.
it's just, I feel like somehow or another, Tony's he's gonna definitely be involved with whatever it is that majorly turns the tides. I think Reed Richards is going to find one thing. Iron Man's going to find another thing, and then who knows? Eddie is still in the Codex right now. He might find some sort of like way. I feel like everyone is going to collectively attack Null at the same time. I'm not too sure if he'll be like killed, but they're definitely going to do something. And with that being said, if you want to segue over to Venom issue 200, the cover clearly shows the Venom symbiote sitting on the throne with all the other symbiotes around him. He's got the wings out and he's holding the Necro sword. So it seems to me like Venom becomes the new god of the symbiotes. And I could totally see that happening, but I'm not sure they're just going to kill Null. I think they might be able to trap him and strip him of his title some sort of way. And that would be cool for a future setup of Null trying to return back or something like that. But obviously, Venom is going to become the King in Black.
Well, and we're definitely going to be talking a little more about Venom issue number 200 later on in the issue, because this is going to be big, and I think this again foreshadows the future of Venom and Null. But Matt, you have anything else to add about Iron Man and his extremis suit taking over a dragon and a Celestial?
Yeah. I mean, there's no nothing new in it to see technology merge with symbiote. I mean, in the past, we've seen like Iron Man's nanotechnology. We've seen Spawn. We've seen like all kinds of mechanical mixtures with symbiotes. So this isn't really new, but I think is new to the story is the fact that Iron Man is finally stepping up to the plate here, and he's really showing that he's a big piece of the story. And I don't know if Ryan Stegman did this on purpose, but I want everyone to look at this panel here and see how does that look familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Absolute Carnage 5. Here's the book.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally like
page for page.
They could homage each other with that panel. So I think that's a big foreshadowing point to make. Is that I think Ryan Stegman and Donny say don't underestimate Iron Man in this book. I think he
definitely.
If he really puts his mind to it, he's going to be a major contender in this fight in the end. So I think that's a good point to make.
I mean, I'll say here that I am I'm shocked as how much Iron Man has stepped up to the plate and to do what he's doing right now. This is a part of the story I had no idea this was even going to happen. Okay. So like what Matt was saying about him like being a huge contender, I think it would be really cool if he, again, like what Joe was saying, that they all have a huge important role and they come together to defeating Null. But I think I would dislike this series a little bit if Iron Man was the big hero to ending this series.
I can guarantee that he's gonna have something to do with it for sure, but there's not gonna be one single character that's like the definitive like I whooped Noel's ass. Like it's gonna be a huge team effort. The next issue, if you pay attention, the whole cover is just strictly X-Men. So I'm assuming we've seen everyone go down the line, and now we're going to start to see like X-Men involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's definitely going to be a group effort between everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think what I really want to see for the end of this series, to be honest, is, and I think a good majority of people really want to see this as too. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I just of what I feel from the community is that I really feel like that we want to see Dylan being the true hero of the series, maybe.
Yeah, I could live with that. At the same time, like if you notice when he was angry earlier and he said that he needed to hurt something, he was kind of like teared up. But if you really look, it's like symbiote leaking out of his eyes, and I kind of want to see him like develop into, for lack of better words, another type of symbiote character. Like I could see him wearing Venom, but
yeah.
I mean, still, there's something going on with him that I keep seeing symbiotes like leaking out of him every once in a while. I'd like to see what that's all about.
Well, here's the thing about Dylan, right? Because Dylan, with his superpowers, he technically doesn't need to wear a symbiote. He just has to control it. You know what I mean? So, like, I think the whole point, like, the speculation of us thinking that Dylan is the future Venom, I think after all this time, that has come to an end because, like I said, he doesn't really need to wear a symbiote. All he has to do is just control it.
This is true. I mean, he pretty much controlled the Venom symbiote in what is it, Venom Island. He turned it into the Venom Rex, and then in the Good Son, he had like a little bit of the Carnage symbiote over his hand. You know what I mean? So I could see him wearing a symbiote, and then the Codex himself is him wearing the Venom symbiote. So I mean, like I said, I could totally see it, but they keep showing him. If you were to go out and look all throughout, like especially later on in the series, just like that panel of him crying, it's actually like a symbiote coming out. So I just want to know what's going on with that. There's always something going on with his eyes.
Yeah. And Matt, you got something to say about it, buddy?
I personally, I'm a firm believer that there's no Venom without Eddie Brock. So he's on his way back. I mean, based on this Venom run right now, and like his soul is still more than alive in the hive mind. I think once Dylan realizes his true power and what he can do inside the mind, I think he's going to revive that. I think that's really going to come back, and they're both going to team up to beat Null in the end. Is what I'm foreshadowing here. But they always keep saying Dylan's the key. Dylan's the key. He's the key to the solution here. So I don't know if I don't think Dylan is the person to beat Null in the end. I think he's the key to unlocking the true like identity to Eddie in this case. And I think that the cover of 200 is Eddie, and he's finally like found his true purpose in life, personally.
Okay.
I think we're going to see what happened with Rex Strickland happen with Eddie. You know what I mean? Where he'll be able to switch back and forth. And I kind of feel like that's what this secret variant might be. And so, I used to think it was Dylan, but I think this is showing basically what Rex Strickland was doing, because he died, but the symbiote was able to take on his human form and keep bringing him back.
That's true.
I think that's what this is.
Yeah,
I'll shout out there, Joe. Good spec book.
Yeah, that was key right there. You are the key, Joe. You're the key to all this.
Speaking of keys and whatnot, I some somehow kind of believe that Dylan might be his Noel's opposite. You know
So
what I
you think
mean?
he's the light?
Well, yeah,
I'm not
I'm
sure,
going to go ahead and
but
agree with you. I think at the end of Venom, the Beyond storyline, when Dylan like makes contact with his future self and he turns from dark to light at the very end, there's
yeah,
that big like switch at the end, and it's like this whole universe was a dark, like cloudy place, and all he had to do was make contact with himself, and boom, the sun comes up, and it's all birds
yep.
and butterflies, right? So I do think once this portal pops up and the new and improved like good side codex comes out, I think that's our God of Light personally.
Yeah, I'm still
I
definitely waiting for this portal, man.
I definitely
If Reed
agree with
Richards
you.
gets
And
his shit together.
like you said though, they when they touched hands, it was literally like a huge explosion of light, and then like you said, it was just sunshine and farts immediately. And like with what you're saying, Kevin, I'm totally something's going to happen where those guys are going to come back. I just know that's going to end up happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So you got two Dylans versus Noel.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. That red stuff. It's like a red light.
It
Yeah,
emits
we got a
light.
lot of really good comments in here too. We keep missing them.
Yeah, we're just so busy talking to ourselves amongst ourselves, and then people just chiming in. Here's a good one. Born Again Comics. I'm thinking Eddie will come back at least as consciousness and become a symbiote god, and Donnie ain't writing Venom because they will change the title of the series and Dylan be the superstar. So yeah, I agree with that as well. Here moving on though. Okay, here is another pretty big piece that happens in the storyline. Throughout the story, there is a narrator to the book. We don't know who it quite is, and until the end, we find out. But we have Silver Surfer Black making an appearance to the storyline. Now, I saw both of you gentlemen like, yes, here we are. But here's the thing about me, right? I knew that they were going to connect at some point. There you go. Let's hold on. Let me go. Let me put you up full screen here. Oh, look at this guy.
That's the book you need to pick up.
That's it right there. Did you guys read Silver Surfer Black, and how important is Silver Surfer Black to the storyline now that he's entered?
I definitely did read Silver Surfer Black. I actually read the Thanos. I have that issue too, and that makes me really think that I should send that son of a bitch in to get graded. But the fact that he came in was so freaking awesome, because if you kind of think about it, it was never really explained which timeline that was all in when he encountered Null. I'm assuming a long time ago, but this is recent times now. So with him showing up as the Silver Surfer in Black, it's awesome, but it's also slightly confusing at the same time, because it's hard to distinguish where the timeline is, and it's like that's the only thing that really throws me off about it all.
Matt?
I was a major fan of that storyline when it came out, and that storyline honestly didn't catch traction for a while because it didn't really fit anywhere. It was like a standalone story, and it's almost like Donny Cates was planting a seed, and we're just waiting for it to grow. But I think there's an interlude at the beginning of Super Black, and Donny Cates writes a letter to Stan Lee, and he said, I'm dedicating this story arc to Stan Lee and his because Silver Surfer is his favorite character. He said it blatantly plenty of times. So he says, I'm going to write the story dedicated to Stan Lee. So I think that's a pretty big statement, because Stan Lee is Marvel Comics, and this is Donny Cates' like baby. He's writing it for everyone, and this is like a huge storyline that's really going to take traction here in this King of Black story, because the whole Fallen One thing didn't make sense at the beginning, and then no showing up, and then making the Void Knight, it had no place yet, and now we finally see, okay, he's going to bring this character back, and that story is actually going to mean something. So I still don't 100% know why it's happening now, because I still think that the whole God of Light thing is like the main point of the story. So I wonder how they're tying the Surfer to the God of Light. And that's what I'm really interested in.
Well, I guess my whole thing is what is Silver Surfer Black going to add to the table here? Is he going to actually do something to help, or is this another pawn for Null to just easily backhand and just make another easy kill slash incapacitate a huge hero here?
Well, that I'm going to cross off the list because we all see Thanos kills him later on, but like he could turn him back into the Void Knight, which I highly doubt. But if anything, I just took it as it's another serious cosmic power to go against Null. And like I said, it's a whole group effort that the entire Marvel universe is going to have to like pretty much throw a punch at the same time to be able to do anything to Null. So I am excited about that. That reminds me, what Venom issue were we just at? 32, 33? I can't remember. It slips my mind.
33.
But, okay, so Eddie is now, his consciousness is now in the Codex, and he's traveling around with Rex in the real world, but I guess because it's the Hive, they're able to travel around the world, but no one can see him. It's like they're not really there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like setting up this little army in there. So it's pretty much him and Rex Strickland are going to be working together. And then they bring in Agent Venom, Eugene Flash Thompson, which is freaking incredible. But he's the anti-Venom version, and that just threw it for a loop for me because that symbiote is man-made.
Right.
It's not even like Null's creation. So why is the anti-Venom symbiote in the Codex?
Agreed.
Like, something about that threw me off. I mean, I get it, it's cool, but it would have made even more sense if he looked like actual Agent Venom. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally agree with what you said with, Flash Thompson being in the whole symbiote hive consciousness with as agent anti-Venoms. I think that's very weird as well, and I'm glad you pointed that out. Gentlemen, we are 40 minutes into breaking down this comic book. Again, I want to thank everybody who's watching right now. Thank you so much for taking your time out of the day to watch this live stream. Again, if you haven't yet, please smash that like button. So I want to get into the part where we say our likes and dislikes about this, and we'll start off with Matt. Matt, do you have any likes and dislikes on this issue, and why?
I mean, I loved it. I'm going to say it's probably the most intriguing storyline that Johnny Cage put out thus far. I mean, it's a massive rebound from Absolute Carnage. I mean, we all agree on that. So I love the combat. I love the gore. I love the fact that there's death all over the place. This is really like Null in his prime, and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving that. It's like a horror movie, and I love horror movies, so it's great. I really respect Donny Cates for tying together all these like storylines that he's written separately. Silver Surfer Black, I mean Thor, and even going back to like Thanos and Thanos wins. It's all that there's little Easter eggs being placed, and it's really it's respectable in the sense that I'm just waiting for it all to tie in, and it's really really good. As far as like dislikes. It's hard for me to say I dislike it because I'm really having this like, super high anticipation for what's coming. So I guess if I were to dislike anything, it was the fact that like didn't get to see more of Dylan's powers like extended. We didn't get like I really wanted Thor to give Null more of a fight than just the jaw move and I guess the only dislike is I wanted more.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because we always say this a lot that when the fight is ready to happen, the fight happens and then it's over as soon as it came. You know what I mean? So yeah, exactly. we just want to see more of that, and we want to see that kind of prolonged because I mean that's what we're waiting for. You know what I mean? So like, don't tease us, just give it to us already. Joe, what do you got?
I personally enjoyed this one. If we're going to go ahead and give it the grading scale, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it a 9.8, legit 9.8. Wasn't really too much I can really complain about. I mean, the art's fantastic all the way through, which I definitely noticed. Like, I paid a lot more attention to the art. You know, we nitpick about the art, but all the way through, I feel like the art was solid. We did get a good bit of action between. It was just good to see Thor and Noel come face to face in the current time and fight each other, and it was a bloody fight. The fact that he like clawed his face and had him bleeding everywhere, and then stabbed him, and he by the end of it, he was just laying on the ground bleeding everywhere. So that was awesome. Tony Stark, like, is literally he's got a codex now, so I'm happy about that. If you catch my drift,
he's very excited about it.
Just Iron Man and Venom going together. I don't know why. It just does something for me. But Dylan, you know, it was good to be able to see him kind of cut loose, but at the same time, he just got completely overpowered, which I feel like I've been saying this forever. Noel is there specifically for him. He's got a plan for him, and doesn't matter what Dylan thinks he can do. Like, Noel's going to act out his plan, and I'm very excited to see what happens. So, as far as that's all going, it's pretty good. They had the cover itself is just beautiful. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. It's just a standard cover. They got a 1 in 5. They have a 1 in 500 sketch variant that is on my list. That's the spoiler variant by Ken Lashley. Like, most of the variant covers for this were pretty good. The 1 in 500 version of this, I want so goddamn bad. With that being said.
Sorry, Joe. Mine's sitting in my mailbox outside.
Yeah, I'll bet, Matt. I bet. Eventually, I'll end up getting it, but it's good to have something to hunt for. You know what I mean? So I'll just look at it like that. As of the end of the book, I was happy with it. The only thing that I could really kind of nitpick about is just the lack of Eddie. Like, we get that he's dead, but there's really been not much involvement on Eddie's behalf. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's there, everyone's like fighting this horde and doing what they can to try and, you know, save the world. And Eddie's just freaking dead. He's just, you know, laying in a hospital bed crapping himself. So it's kind of like, yeah, like, I'm kind of hoping by the next issue, tie-in wise, we'll see Venom. Even if he comes back to Rex Strickland way, if as long as we see Eddie and Venom in the story, you know, I'll be happy with that. That's the only thing I can really nitpick about.
I'm shocked about how that you would love to see more Eddie in it, because I feel like you just already see enough what Eddie's doing in the background and his own title. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but you know, this is a symbiote story, and yes, we have the tie-ins, which, you know, that's great and all, but I would just hate to see this whole series literally end at the last page. You know, Eddie comes back and, you know, Null's already defeated. Like, I would like to be able to see him
be part of it.
I guess at least be drawn into a panel or two in the freaking King of Black storyline. I mean, for Christ's sake, it's a Venom book if you really look at it under a microscope. So
it really
as long as they bring them in, I'll be fine with it.
All right, Matt. So since Joe jumped the gun and gave his CGC grade, what's your CGC grade for this issue?
For me, this one is like, it's like you got the book raw off the shelf, and you look at all the corners and the spine. It looks pristine, and you're like, this is a 9.8 all day. I don't need to press this. And you send it in, and it comes back at 9.6. That's the feeling I got right now. It's like I feel like it's amazing, and I don't see anything wrong with it, but I feel like there's still something missing, and it still has more to give. So I'm going to give it to 9.6, blue label.
What's missing is Venom.
There you go. That's what's missing.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm actually kind of shocked. I mean, I know Joe gave it the 9.8, even though he said about not 80 being in it, and I'm actually shocked that you gave it a 9.6, because I was actually expecting 9.8s across the board, and that kind of just spoils it right there. So if I were to give this book a CGC grade, I'm going to give it a 9.8 today. I think this was probably the best issue out of the series. I mean, somebody said it in the comments. Here it is right here. It matched issue number 1. I mean, it just matches that again, with everything that's happened, would I like to see more in the fight? Yes, absolutely. Who doesn't want to see more fighting and more blood and violence in these comic books, as there should be? But I just think the writing is really good. When it comes to the series, I feel like I can't speculate as much as I can with the other ones. And I like a book that keeps me guessing. Okay. So I do have to give that to Donny Cates. You know what I mean? I like the whole twist. I actually kind of like that. This is going to sound weird, but I actually kind of like that Eddie Brock is dead. And yeah, I would like to see Eddie Brock a little more, but hey, this is not your fight right here, because you're needed someplace else to figure out something else to bring that to the table. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah, it's bad that we're not seeing Eddie Brock, but when he does come back in some shape or form, it's going to be totally worth it. That's going to be my only spec on that. So with artwork, I actually had no complaints about, I know we nitpick sometimes. I mean, don't get me wrong. Ryan Stegman is a fantastic artist. I mean, I don't know if you guys follow people in the chat, follow him on Instagram. If you're not, you're missing out, because when he shares his pencils on Instagram, it's just something to really look at. It's absolutely gorgeous. But I felt like his artwork is on point. But if I had to compare his artwork compared to King in Black and Absolute Carnage, I think he was a lot hungrier in Absolute Carnage, and I think it showed a little more. And I think his artwork in Absolute Carnage was just a little more impressive than King in Black. But no, 9.8 for this book right here altogether. So. And that's what it is, boys. It's a 9.8. I gave a 9.8. Joe gave a 9.8, and we got a 9.6 from Matt. So, guys, let us know in the chat what you thought. If you were to give this book a CGC grade today, let us know in the chat and why. I would like to hear from you. So, moving on here, okay? As we all know, before this issue came out, Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates have twirled their white flag, and they are quitting writing Venom after issue 200, or I should say by the legacy number 200. So what do you guys think about this? Are you guys sad about this? And well, let's start from there, because I have other questions. I don't want you guys getting too confused. What do you think about this? Are you sad about this, or are you happy about this?
I personally, I mean, it's definitely kind of news out of left field that takes you by surprise. And I've seen a lot of people literally, almost heartbroken over it all. And a part of me feels that way too. It's been such a great storyline I've been following for so long, and to know that it's coming to a definite end, and not knowing, who the next writer is, it's coming in. We're just being completely left in the dark with all that. So it's kind of sucky in a way, but combo breaker.
Sorry, I'm indifferent. I'm sorry.
Hey, I mean, it's a 9.6 gold label, so I mean, you can't complain. But the whole thing with this new Venom series, I see this a lot, especially on the Venom Facebook fan page. There is a lot of people that don't necessarily like the whole, Venom's got wings and, the swords, and I see that a lot. And the fact of the matter is yeah, it's completely different. It's not what we're used to, but it gave us so much more. You know what I mean? There was every issue that I read. I mean, we've speculated on this whole damn series this whole time. No other series, like you said, no other series keeps me guessing and wanting to know what's going on. And I generally like Venom regardless. I mean, I'm going to enjoy it for as much as I can, unless it's Space Knight. That was just trash. But this is a really good series.
I'm sorry, what was that? Space Knight? I don't know what that is.
Rom? Who's Rom? What the hell is the internet anyway? But yeah, it's a very good series, and it gave us so much more, and then it opened the door for so much more. Rather than just Venom going back to fighting Spider-Man on the streets,
correct.
We could get all kinds of cosmic stories out of this afterwards. We could get, I mean, the sky's the limit. It didn't box Venom in and make it this little thing, and Venom's always been able to make wings. we've seen it in the Nova, the final Nova issue way back in the '90s and whatnot. He's always been able to make wings. I mean, symbiotes can kind of make whatever. So I think people just need to really give it a chance. If they have not read these, they should definitely try and read the series. I think it's one of the best things to happen to Venom since Agent Venom, and that series quickly fell off in the upper 30s. Like right after the Toxin tie-in or story arc, Agent Venom kind of fell off. Like this series has not fallen off and could keep going. So with that being said, like I'm very happy that we got this Venom story, and we've made friendships over talking about this. You know what I mean? Like I'm very thankful for this whole story, but it's very bittersweet just not knowing where.
I mean, I've been friends with you assholes for a while, so this story did not bring us together.
This is true, but I mean, it's Venom, man. Venom brought us together. God damn it! I'm like, yeah. And not once have we all sat down and just been like, you know, this is freaking horrible, and what is going on to this character? Like everything has been good, but with that being said, what's that?
Except for Virus not appearing anymore.
Oh yeah, man. That breaks my heart more than them guys leaving. Like I want Virus back, and that ties into this whole Iron Man Venom stuff. But I just really hope we get a really good writer that has really been paying attention and wants to add to this and not just take Venom and cram it back into this small little package again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he's so much more now after this.
Exactly. Like so much more than he was beforehand, for sure.
Matt, what do you think about Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman leaving, and are you happy or sad about it?
I'm indifferent about it. You know, it is sad just because I think if we look at this as a whole, this series, I mean, let's back up. Let's go back and look at like Remender and it says last Rick Remender. You know, that storyline was good, but like Joe said, it fell off, and then we were just waiting for another Venom storyline. And ever since Donny Cates took it, I'm pretty sure you all at least remember this, that the man was getting death threats for changing this storyline. Like that's a statement right there. Like, and he kept writing it, and he kept changing it, and he kept making it his own. But at this point, and we're 33 issues in, we can now say that Venom is no longer a Earth character, is a universal character that expands the entire universe. We now can see symbiote pop up in literally any storyline because of Donny Cates.
True.
And before Donny Cates, if a Venom, you know, character-esque like popped up somewhere that wasn't in Spider-Man, it was kind of like, oh, is that canon? Should we count that? Can we count that? And now, like, it's all canon. You know, Null is everywhere. He is the Void. He is space. You know, so now you have characters like Black Winter, which we don't know about. We have characters that he's just bringing up left and right that's probably going to come back. I'm not sad that he's leaving. I'm happy that he's made it. He's given an opportunity to go any direction and be. I mean, I don't care what writer takes at this point. They have so many tools at their disposal to make another great story out of it. You know? Yeah,
touche. As long as that next writer does not bring in dinosaurs into the next storyline, I'll be happy. No, for real though, you know, like, let's just think about this here for a second, okay? These guys came onto Venom in 2017. You know, that's a couple of years. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm sad that they're going away because let's face it, Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates, in my personal opinion, gave us the best Venom storyline that we have ever had. Like, as a Venom fan, this is something to definitely remember and definitely celebrate, in my opinion, because, you know, when we would pick up Venom storylines, you know, like until Agent Venom, we would be like, yeah, okay, like this has my favorite character in it, but it's okay. You know what I mean? Now, when we had Donny Cates writing this was like, oh man, he is rewriting the origin of symbiotes. We're having all these new characters coming in, and he's just making him so much bigger, just like Joe and Matt said. And if like, so many people were like, Venom, nobody reads Venom. Ever since then, almost everybody started reading Venom. Okay, as soon as Venom 3 started blowing up, everyone was like, whoa, 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 what's going on? Like, should I be picking this up? Like, FOMO, like, I have a fear of missing out. I better go be picking this up. And then everybody started becoming a Venom fan. You know what I mean? So Donny Cates took almost what do you want to say, a category D character for Marvel and brought him to like at least a B. You know what I mean? So
I'd say he's damn near at the top of the A list at this point.
Okay, yeah, I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. Yeah, at least
what's selling more than Venom right now for Marvel?
Yeah,
tell me.
Immortal Hulk's probably the closest thing next to Thor.
Probably
Immortal Hulk and Thor, but I mean, Donny Cates is writing Thor too, so it's like he's turned him into an A-list character.
And here's the other thing I wanted to say too. I'm sorry, with this comment here, and Joe kind of touched up on it for a second. If Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates, feel like they can't explore Venom any more than what they are right now, I'd rather see them leave on a high note than just drag it out and be like, okay, I'm done with these guys. Because if they leave it on such a high note like they've already done, then that's what's going to make their career like. Everyone's going to be like, from 10 years from now, like, oh, do you remember Donny Cates' Venom run? That was the best. You know what I mean? That was the best for their character. And it's almost like The Walking Dead. You know what I mean? When that show first came out, everybody loved The Walking Dead. And then by season 4, 5, 6, whatever it is right now, nobody gives a fuck about it. Okay. I'd rather not see that happen to Venom and these two guys writing and drawing for Venom. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I love the fact that you just dropped the F-bomb. We should do that more often. But
I can't do too much because I don't want to get demonetized. So.
Yeah. No, I like you said, it definitely is bittersweet. It is good to see them go on a high note, but I also want people, like you said, in 10 years not to be like, oh, do you remember Donny Cates? Like, I want people to literally be able to still pick up a book in 10 years from now and be like, this ties in to book from 10 years ago. Like, this writer is why Venom is the way he is. Maybe people start reading it later on, like, why is Venom swinging a sword and shooting a Mega Man blaster at the same time? Oh, that's because of this book. Like, I hope that this continues to go. And we had Lee Price. That series was pretty much a flop. I hated the way the relationship between them two were.
I hated that too.
And then before that, we literally had Space Knight and then Land Before Crime and all that crap. And all of them series, they just flopped. This series has had, I put it in my Instagram in the little story things. We're averaging, I can't even talk. We're getting over 30 to 40 covers per Venom book. Like, that is how much this book is selling and how good it's doing. And I just hope, for the sake of not having 40 covers per book, I want the story to keep going and just be just as good.
Right. Agreed. So, I mean, yes, it is a bittersweet that they're going. And, I want to try to stay as positive as possible for the next creative team that takes them on. But again, I mean, they're going to have huge shoes to fill with this. And like I said, and like Joe said, they better not put it in a little tiny box. And, you got to be like Donny Cates. Donny Cates thought outside the box. And that's why their career is where it is right now and why Venom is where it is right now.
This is very, very true. And see, now I feel like because Ryan Stegman tweeted somebody asked, like, I heard in a podcast, you guys said you had stories to go on for the next few years for this. And he was like, oh, well, we kind of lied to people because we didn't, we wanted just to come out of nowhere. Just bam, it's over.
Right.
And then in the editorial, they straight said, we don't think this is the last we've seen of Lee Price. So that could have been another little thing. But, I wanted to see Lee Price die where it's like, not just Carnage ripping the Codex out and, oh, he's dead. Like, I wanted to see the Venom symbiote eat that son of a bitch. Like, and we never got that. I was hoping that would have happened in this storyline, but we can't have it go back to that type of storyline. You know what I mean? Just Venom running around in the alleys fighting lizards. We need to have I'm just so anxious to see who the next writer is. Not only that, before we end this, because we're running pretty late.
Yeah.
The new symbiote Plague. I am so digging that character. At first I was like, I don't know about this old man looking skeleton symbiote, but now I'm really into it. His powers kind of remind me some sort of a way like something Sleeper would be able to do. So I saw somebody talking about Sleeper popping up. I'm kind of giving up on Sleeper popping up at this point, but I would love to see it. And if he were to, him and Plague would make a good battle. But I don't think Plague's going to go beyond this storyline. But I would like to see that actually happen. Like, I would like to be able to see the next writer bring some of these characters back, even if that portal opens later on in the future. Codex comes back and Virus comes back or whatever. Like, I would love to see this story expanded. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. You would like to see this universe expanded, and you don't want to see somebody like, okay, like I'm here writing this. Let's just take everything that Donny Cates wrote, crumple it. We're starting from scratch. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody wants that. You know what I mean? Like,
not only that, like 4 years down the road, he gets a tweet from somebody like, "Hey, did you ever think about bringing Virus back?" And they're like, "Who the heck's Virus?"
Yeah,
Next.
right. So, gentlemen, we are past time here, but I cooked up one more question, and try to keep your answers a little bit short. But who would you like to see take over the Venom title? Who would you like to see writing it and doing the artwork? Let's start with Matt.
Oh man, what a question. I'm partial to Jason Aaron. I think Jason Aaron's a great writer. I really love what work on Thor. I think that he's very solid. He's got really good writing skills. I don't know how relevant he is in Marvel right now. You know, what if he was willing to come back? But I really dig Jason Aaron's writing style. As far as the artwork go, I'm a Coelho fan. Ivan Coelho is fantastic right now. I every single issue is so vibrant and so like, it catches the reader's eye like so easily, and it just makes you want to keep turning the page. I really like Ivan Coelho right now.
Right, and so like I don't really have an answer for a writer. I'm not very versed in like the newer Marvel writers to be honest, but I've said this so many times on the channel. I absolutely love how Ivan Coelho draws Venom symbiotes in general. I mean, when Ivan Coelho, I mean, again, nothing against Ryan Stegman, but when Ivan Coelho's doing the artwork for Donny Cates' story writing, I think it's perfect and it's the best. Joe, what do you think?
I would.
Who's your Venom dream team?
That's really hard, but if I were to really have to think about it, Jason Aaron would be incredible. I think if he were to get onto Venom, it would definitely continue Donny Cates' storyline. It would expand and expand and expand and expand. So that would be incredible.
I think it would give him a really good opportunity to bring the whole Gore Null relationship back. Like when that all happened, we never got the expansion of that relationship that happened. So I think.
This whole series pretty much ended with Null making no mention of Gore. But Jason Aaron, I would be thrilled with that. Dan Slott sometimes has a very good writing style, but I'm not sure he would want to tackle this one at this point. You know, if it were more like street level Spider-Man, I think so.
I think that's all he would have to offer, though. If Dan Slott were to take over, I think it would be back to where we don't want him to be. You know what I mean? I don't think.
That's kind of true, but with that being said, Superior Spider-Man is one of the greatest Spider-Man stories I've ever read in my life, next to like Maximum Carnage tie-ins and stuff like that. Like Superior Spider-Man was top-notch writing. But I'm getting all sidetracked. Al Ewing, the writer for Immortal Hulk, if he were to get on Venom, I think he would do some serious damage, and that would be totally awesome. And as far as artists, I would love to see Coelho stay on. I've said something to him. I tagged him on Instagram, like, you deserve the full-time spot after Stegman leaves for Venom.
Yeah.
And if not him, my serious dream team-up artist would be Marco Cicchetto. He is one of the best symbiote artists out there, but he rarely he rarely gets a chance to really dive into it. You know what I mean? I would love to see him do like at least a mini series of Venom.
All right, pretty awesome. So, guys, we are hitting an hour and 10 minutes. And gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for taking your time for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem, man. Thank you, and thanks to everybody that's been in the chat here talking it up. There's a lot of really good questions, and yes, Toxin does come back. You know, we still got a couple more issues before Donnie leaves, so let's see what happens.
For sure. So, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day to watch this. Again, don't forget to smash that like button, especially if you're watching this on the rewind. If you guys are heading out, again, don't forget to smash that like button. If you're new here to the channel, make sure you subscribe to show your support. And you can click on that bell notification so you don't miss a beat when a new video drops on the channel and when I go live. I'm Kevin Vidini for Superpower Review, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.